Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have you join our live webinar, Vatebra Digital Transformation Series 4. The controversies surrounding the sudden global pandemic has altered various unprepared electoral processes globally for as many organizations, nations, private or public sectors who has planned to have manual election in the year 2020. With the advent of the pandemic, planned elections has either been cancelled or suspended indefinitely. That is why we at Vatebra has put together this webinar to share with you how you can survive COVID-19 outbreak. We have carefully brought about new, sophisticated, and flexible opportunities with the use of technology. Today, we'll be discussing elections beyond the ballot boxes, the future of the organizational voting. At the end of this session, you will be able to understand the importance of embracing an automated voting system, and most importantly, you will be informed about the latent challenges faced during election process without compromising or sacrificing the integrity of your vote. I will be calling on my colleague Aderonke Okewoye as she joins us to present this beautiful session. And during the course of the session, Adeola Yomi Patrick would facilitate the question and answer sessions. Please do drop your chats or questions in the chat room. They will be attended to at the end of the session. And also Jameson Inobong, who is our subject matter expert as regards technology. If you have questions related to technology or security on this products, it will definitely take you through. Thank you as you listen. Aderonke, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Musumola. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Ronke Okewoye, and I'll be presenting our topic for today, elections beyond the ballot boxes, the future of organizational voting. So let's look at the impact of COVID-19 on 2020 elections. According to IEA on Global Overview of COVID-19 on election, the following were stated. From February 21st, 2020 till now, there were about 56 countries and territories across the world who have decided to postpone national or subnational elections due to COVID-19. And of course, out of 18 of them have decided to postpone it definitely. 23 countries and territories who had planned to hold national or subnational elections. Despite COVID-19, they've also gone ahead to have that election. About 9 countries held the same elections as well. Africa is also not left out. We have Bayelsa State, Imo and Plateau, who had planned to have the by-elections scheduled for March 2020. Up until now, that election hasn't been held. It's still very much on hold, as a result of what is happening globally. In May 2020, there was a document that was released by Professor Mahmoud Yakub of INEC, which is the title of the topic. The case study is Policy on Conducting Elections in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. And he also mentioned in that study that INEC, come 2021, INEC would be piloting eVoting during the elections. And of course, we have the forthcoming election in Edo State and Ondo State, which according to INEC will still be conducted despite what is happening. But of course, the voters and electoral workers would be mandated to wear face masks when coming to cast their votes. Now, let's look at eVoting, a case study of a tool for e-democracy. What does it mean to you and I? Why are people considering eVoting? So we look at a brief case study from the Yarmouk University, which is one of the oldest universities in Jordan, and accounts for about 30,000 students in 11 colleges and 53 departments. Of course, the outcome of the election would help us to determine how people perceived political and social differences when considering e-voting system. Here have few outcome of the results, which is factors that would lead to people embracing or adopting e-voting system. There's a perceived usefulness, which is how useful is it for you and I to embrace e-voting? Is it something that is useful? Is it relevant? Would it impact us as an organization or as a nation? There's also a perceived use of use. If we decide to adopt e-voting, is it going to be easy to use? Is it going to be flexible? Would people adopt it? Another concern is perceived security. How secure is an e-voting system? How secure is our data? How secure is the output and the input of the election at the end of the day? Also, another factor is trust propensity. How am I sure that the outcome of the result is genuine, which is a major concern for you and I when we want to vote? Am I sure that my vote will not be manipulated, or would there be multiple votes, as the case may be? And of course, intention to use. Finally, when we decide to deploy an e-voting system, is our intention, is it genuine? Is it to get more people to vote? Is it also to encourage people that have not been voting in the past to come on board and also cast their vote? So these were major concerns that the factors led. And as a result of that, we have a conclusion of the analysis. So we see perceived usefulness. We see about 3.2%, which was highly supported by the university, meaning there is a need for that. It is useful. It is relevant for the 21st century democratic election that they should embrace e-voting system. And of course, the perceived ease of use. Is it going to be very easy? Is it going to be very flexible as such that irrespective of the age status, as the case may be, is it going to be easy for you and I to use? So it was highly supported that an e-voting system is going to be very easy because it's a very simple and not too large an application. Also, look at trust propensity. So 7.09 came up to say, I still have some issue trust. I'm still bothered about it. Or what if something goes on? So we have that figure very high, not supported. Another one is the perceived security influence. So how secure is my data? So that is also very low, but highly supported because a lot of innovations have come into security when deploying applications. So a lot of people are IT savvy and they know that once they decide to deploy, security might not really be an issue. Oh, so another factor is the perceived influence, privacy influence. How my data in the cloud or my data with the third-party company, or as the case may be, how secure is my data? I wouldn't want my data to be, outside there. So we see that it's a little bit of challenge, which is about 1.3%. So at the end of the day, we find the conclusion of the research is that an electronic solution is easy to use, and of course, it is also very impactful. And at the end of the day, trust is a major issue when considering an e-voting system. Now, the future of ballot boxes, what does it mean? What does it mean to automate our manual ways of conducting election? What does it mean to go into your local government, leave your house, do your registration in the morning, you come back in the afternoon for verification, the entire manual process? What does it mean if we're looking at a process where the entire system can be automated as such that you will vote from the comfort of your home? So we're saying that the 21st century or the current dispensation has enabled us to evolve, and as such, the future of ballot boxes is as simple as you having access to a laptop, a desktop, an iPad, or a phone. We know that these are gadgets that people go about these days, and for us to be able to cast our vote, all we need is just a gadget like this. And of course, more importantly, is an application that is upgradable, an application that is easy to use, an application that is also easy to embrace by you and I. Embracing digital democracy. So what does it mean? Just like I said earlier, that a lot of us are looking at the current manner ways of conducting e-voting, and we're saying, can the system be a lot simpler? Can the system be a lot easy, that you can vote anywhere and you don't have to risk your life you don't have to risk your life as such, and you can vote from the comfort of your home? So embracing digital democracy, we've looked at it critically, and we've come up to say that the entire system can be automated, the entire system can be digitized. And we look at a case study from Australia University during the 2016 parliamentary elections. I mean, they had it, and it took more than a week to be able to generate the results. And of course, there was a lot of political instability and economic uncertainty during just 1 week of releasing that result. However, if they had looked at the option of automating the process, the result could have been out in hours, or worst case scenario, in 1 or 2 days. And of course, the system would have been seamless at the end of the day. Now, these are two renowned organizations that have come out with a roadmap. They've sat together, they've looked at the entire electoral system, and they've said, can we come up with a roadmap that would enable organizations or countries, that would help them when considering to implement an e-voting system? They've looked at certain factors as well. So we have these factors as following: analysis of legal barriers to voting technology. So we all know that in Nigeria, for example, if INEC were to automate the system come 2020, there has to be a review of our legislation. There has to be a review of our law, governing the nation, governing the whatever elections that we need to have in 2021. So a country should be able to embrace and review its law to adopt an electronic voting system. And of course, cost-benefit impact of the voting system. You wouldn't want to get a system that is an overkill for a country to procure. So you would also have to consider that the cost benefit versus the use has to justify why anybody should consider to automate their electoral process. Also, we look at importance of competitive procurement process. You would also want that from the beginning, when considering an e-voting system, the procurement process should be seamless, as such that it doesn't look as if it's being biased or favorable to a certain group of people or party. Constant engagement with key stakeholders. At the end of the day, you wouldn't want to buy an application that you would buy and you just dump. So you've seen situations where people just buy applications and you dump and people don't use. You must ensure that you carry the stakeholders, the presidency, the National Assembly, and it has to be legally approved. You also have to look at independent auditing and testing programs for the voting system. So what do I mean by this? You must ensure that that application is auditable by third parties. So you would, at the end of the day, want, for example, there are litigations or there are issues, which we have at the moment in Nigeria or in certain countries where we tend to contest the results. So you must ensure that that application is auditable by third-party companies. And of course, you must ensure that that application would enable you to generate accurate data at the end of the day. So it's going to be what you put in. You must ensure that the outcome of the result is equal to the numbers of voters on the system. And of course, you don't forget that cybersecurity is also a concern when deploying. You must ensure that your security has security features enabled on it. So let's look at countries that have gone ahead in terms of digitizing their democratic process. We have the likes of Brazil, who has developed theirs since 2000 and is still very much relevant and useful till today. India, we all know that India is one of the most populous nations in the world. They've taken a step ahead to develop an homegrown electronic voting system since 2004. and they've used it to conduct parliamentary elections, and it's been very successful. Estonia is also not left out. They've gone ahead to implement eVoting system across the internet, and of course, it is still very much useful till today. Our own Kaduna State is also not left out. During the 2018 local government elections, the use of eVoting was also adopted. But of course, I'd like to state here that the scenario of Kaduna State wasn't an hand-to-hand automation. So it was a scenario where people still needed to leave their homes, leave their offices, and come to a resource center. And they had an hardware device where they cast their votes. So they've taken just a step higher. And I believe the next step will be that anybody from the comfort of their home should be able to vote when conducting elections. Other countries that have taken a step ahead, we have the United States of America, we have Belgium, Brazil, Bolivia, Mexico, Namibia, and the Philippines. So let's talk about organizational voting. What does it mean? For irrespective of your country, irrespective of your organization, either you are an SME, either you have a simple process or a relatively complex process, you are a potential user for eVoting. And of course, you could also fall into these categories: membership organizations. So you are an institute where you have members as fellows, or as the case may be, you are a potential user for eVoting. Professional bodies, trade union, company AGMs, your cooperative societies, either you're a large one or you're a small one, or pension schemes or universities. So you should also look at the option of considering your electoral process. I also like to state that even our own very universities, you can, for the students, you can also look at the option of automating the process, and of course it will be seamless since you have that age group of people within the university that are IT savvy. Now, over the years, we've seen more and more evolving membership organizations who have governed by democracy, and of course to make it to the top, either to a board of executive or to the council or to the committee, you would have to be sure that the election is free and fair and devoid of every ambiguity. And of course, the validity of this result is very crucial to the elections. So what I mean is that you must ensure that when you want to get to the top in this organization, you follow a democratic rule. So over the last 5 to 6 years in Nigeria here, we've seen a lot of membership organizations embracing this method. So just like I've said, why have they adopted it, or why should you also adopt eVoting system? Of course, an eVoting system is user-friendly. Anybody can pick it up, and it's also mobile enabled, so you can pick it up, and from the comfort of your home, you would go to the website and just do your voting. It is transparent. There's no ambiguity in it. It's what you put into the system that the result comes out at the end of the day. And of course, it makes the collation of the results very easy. So real time, you can know the numbers of people that are voting, and at the end of the day, just to drag and drop your reporting template, and you have absolute details of the reporting at the end of the day. Now, talk about archive records for elections. I'm not sure that if you go to some institutions and you demand for 10 years, 20 years records of election, I'm not sure we can have access to it. But looking at way forward, you can archive the results of your elections, which can be used for references, as the case may be. And of course, you also enable your staffs to focus on more important things rather than doing mundane and repetitive tasks, and you can save money at the end of the day. So reduction of errors with an automated system is, let me use the IT word, we say garbage in, garbage out. Is what you put in that you get. So you're sure that the system is not full of error. We're at least 99% sure that the system is error-free. And of course, you have faster counting votes and delivery of a final result. So we've had instances where the moment the e-voting system shuts down, that very moment your result is real time. So you're not waiting, nobody is under panicking to go and be dragging ballot boxes, as the case may be. You have the final result, and it becomes very known to everybody. And of course, you can save costs. You don't have to be buying paper. You don't have to be moving resources from Lagos to Kaduna or Lagos to Bayelsa, as the case may be. You focus more and you save more when you consider it. I would also want to talk briefly about likely challenges to eVoting. So some have said because of our cultural background and belief, eVoting is not the way to go. But because we've seen countries, that have adopted it and they've used it, and we see that it has worked for them. So we shouldn't, close our eyes and say it's not going to work for us because of our culture and our belief. Lack of infrastructure and rural areas. You and I agree with me that we still have some rural areas where there are no internet, where there are no power, as the case may be. So we see that as a challenge as well. Low technology adoption. We still see instances where some people are not used to an Android phone or a 5G or a 4G, as the case may be. And as such, they shy away from embracing technology. And of course, some have also said, what if at the end of the day we automate the entire process and we'll put it in the cloud and something happens? What happens since we don't have access to the physical paper, and that could be a challenge. Some have also said, because it is a software, what if there's an issue with the software, or what if there's a bug within the system? How do we easily identify it and correct it to prevent issues and things? So these are all school of thought that some people have said. But of course, in the course of the presentation, you would find out that we in Vatebra, we've taken note of all this. And because, like I said, over the last 5 to 7 years, we've worked closely with people that have implemented our solution. We've worked with people that have tested and, of course, trusted our system. We understand the electoral process, and we've developed our own homegrown solution because we understand the need of the people. And we have our solution, which is called Votiva. What is Votiva? Votiva is simply a web-based, mobile-enabled solution that enables you to vote from the comfort of your home. So it is as simple as that. Let's not forget that with the use of a unique ID and a PIN and a password. So what I just simply means is, what I meant is, it is a web-based solution, which is also mobile enabled. You can vote from the comfort of your home, from your phone. At the same time, there's a unique PIN, which is just known to you, and your password. And of course, you ensure that your data is secured in a centralized database. And of course, it is highly secure. Just like I said, all you need to vote is your PDA, which is your phone or your mobile phones, and you can vote from anywhere. So that is, in a simple layman's language, that is what Votiva does, and that is what we've been doing over the years. What are the features that we have on our application? We have reporting generation, which is simple and specified reporting template based on your own environment. So it is not a situation, it's not a system that is built for one and no other person can use that system. It is a system that can be used by anybody. Reporting can also be customized to your own peculiar environment. So either your electoral process in terms of the metrics of your election, either it is a simple one or a complex one. Don't forget that the reporting template, which is the core of the application itself, can be built to fit into your needs. We also have what we call the interactive front end and the back end and the voters experience. This is where a lot of people have access to the user interface, and the administrative end does a lot of upload. So within the next slide, I'll talk more about that as well. Our solution is also built on SSL, security secure layer, meaning that the data is secured on the web. And because we understand the importance of disaster recovery, so either you are considering an on-prem deployment or cloud deployment, you should be rest assured that your data is safe with us. The administrative interface also helps the administrator within your own environment to configure the system the way you would want to see it. Finally, I also want to talk about the user audits, where this is where you have access to access log on the system, you have restriction details and all activities performed either before the election on the database that was set up for you, during the election, what goes on, who has access to the database, what changes are being made, what is going on in terms of the SMS blast, in terms of email blast, our emails dropping, our tokens dropping. So this is where all these things happen, and you can view it at the end of the day to verify that information were actually passed to voters. So like I said, you can view it before the election, during the election, and after the election. All this can happen on our system. So how does it work? Just like I said earlier, the voting platform has two main modules, the administrative modules and the voters module. Within the voting platform, you have, this is where the upload of the manifesto, upload of the passport, and other relevant information pertaining to that contestant, where you do all the whole setup. Now, you also have the voter upload module. This is where you specifically automate the system to allocate votes per contestant. So this is where the vote allocation backend, this is where you do that. You also have the vote scheduling option. So either you want to do a pre-scheduling in terms of you want to set the timing, the date of the election, either it's going to be recurrent, monthly, or annually. So this is where all the scheduling options happens. And you also have another module, which is the vote cast module. This enables you and I, in terms of the voters, to be able to see the platform, cast our vote, view manifestos, view information regarding the contestant, and make our choices on whoever we want to vote to. Now, at the end of the day, one peculiar thing with our system is we have the email delivery report. So at the end of the day, once you cast your vote, you would get an acknowledgement to say that these are the people that you voted for, or as designed or as desirable by that organization. You would have an email reporting which can be used as the case may be. Vote integrity. Then I know that any vote that does not, our vote should speak, our vote should have a voice. And we would also consider that a vote has to have integrity. So on our system, we ensure that there are no multiple votes or there are no duplicate votes, as such that if a user has a unique ID or a PIN, you can only log on to the system and vote once. Once you vote based on certain metadata set or criteria set on the system, once you cast your vote and you say submit, you can't use that same ID again. And remember that it's only tied to one person. You can't use that ID again to vote, and there are no multiple votes. Neither are there duplicate votes on our system. Report generation. So however you want to see your report, either through a pie chart, a dash, a graph, an Excel, a Word, and either if your system is, I keep saying, simple or complex, voting metrics within the organization, you are rest assured that the system can configure, we can work with you to configure your voting metrics to suit however you want your reporting to be. Let's not also forget that disaster recovery is also key, because you understand the importance of data. So we don't want a situation where election is ongoing and something happens and nobody can have access. So we work closely with organizations that have disaster recovery, and your data within a tickle of an eye, you wouldn't even know that something has happened. Within a tickle of an eye, disaster recovery replicates the data and vote continues without you even know it. And of course, security is our watchword, because we understand it. We have user access security down premise on cloud. Firewalls, which also prevent hackers and unauthorized users or unauthorized members to have access to the platform. We have it embedded on our solutions. SSL, cyber security, and of course, data encryption. So whatever information is coming out from the portal to the users, where you ensure that it is encrypted and no one can have access to it besides you. So, like I've said, previously, either you're considering an on-prem solution, which is just limited to your own environment. So what we mean by an on-prem solution is within the comfort of your LAN environment, local area network. That is where the deployment can happen, and you can have your members stationed in one place and you do your vote. So we can also work with you. If you're looking at an online cloud, which is dedicated, it can also work for you. And of course, we have dedicated virtual machine, which is just built for you alone to be able to host your data, and you are sure that you have access to the entire or any options that you decide to go with. Now, because we've been in the business, and because we understand what it is, because we're local content, and because we want to work with you and I, we have different scenarios with different organizations that we work with. So here's a list of companies that we've worked with over the last, like eVoting is relatively new for you and I, you would agree with me. But in the last 6 years, we've worked with different organizations, and we have 100% success story to tell. We've worked with Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. In the last 3 years, it has been very successful. It has been very successful. We've also worked with Nigerian Institute of Chartered Accountants. We've worked with them in the last 3 years, 2-3 years now, and the election has been very successful in terms of the reports that we've received, in terms of what we have done, in terms of how people have perceived and used our solutions. We have 100% success story. Chartered Institute of Personnel Management is also not left out. Over the last 5 years, we've had 100% success story regarding their eVoting solution. At the moment, the election is also ongoing, and the report so far has been very fantastic. Nigeria Computer Society is also another case study that we have. We've worked with them in the last close to 5 years as well, and I can bet you that the election has been successful free, and we've not had cause to attend to any litigation. We've not had cause to attend to we've not had cause to attend to pardon me, we've not had cause to attend to any issues. So we can create different scenarios that we've worked with them, because we understand the importance of data. Our solution is verified, audited by renowned auditing firm in Nigeria. So we've worked with E&Y for a period. We've worked with them for close to 3 years now. Our system has been audited. We've worked with them, EY and KPMG as well. So without overstressing the whole thing, we want to work with you as well. We want to work with you when you're considering an election. Either you fall into any of these categories that I've mentioned. We want to work with you and ensure that you enjoy the benefit of having a democratic election, which is free and fair, and of course, everybody would come to embrace it. So I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank for spending your time with us, and we hope that we've been able to convince you that eVoting is the way to go. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be available to take some of your questions and contributions. Over to you, Adela. Thank you.
Adela Yemi Patrick, please, could you read questions?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mosu. So we have a few questions here. Thank you very much, Ronke. It was a wonderful presentation. The first question is, says that, can we use the Votiva system for corporate society elections?
Yes, just like I said, either your corporate environment, in terms of your corporate society, it can be used. It can be used. It's just to understand your
society as well.
Cooperative society, yes. Once we understand your process, it's just to customize it to be able to address your needs. So it is doable.
Okay. So this is a technical question. Iniobong Jameson will respond to this. Mr. Edward Uche Nwachi wants to know what type of authentication and validation process can be used in eVoting to enable the right person cast his or her vote? He also wants to know if combining QR code with the voter's registration number is okay. Jameson, over to you, please. Hello, Jameson, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon all. Yes, basically we've been doing this for some time now, and what we do is that we ensure that the right, before election processes commence, we ensure that the right validation is done against those that are going to vote, which is what we put into the system. Apart from that, we also make use of SMS, email to authenticate. A short code, a security code is also sent to the registered phone number and email address. That will enable just that person to be able to vote. That way you can't just have access to the system and log in and vote. A security token, which is generated and sent to the registered phone number and email address. And another level of security that we've done is that that security token expires. So if it was sent to you and you didn't get to use it after 5 minutes based on the parameters set up, that code will expire. You need to request for that code again. Because it's an online thing, we know that people try to have access to those platforms, the platform that we have. We try to make sure that when we regenerate another code, there are some set of security questions that you need to answer before we can grant you access into voting. So those are the things that we put into place. Now, in the aspect of QR code, yes, QR code can also be introduced, meaning that we need to generate a QR code and then you need to scan. But even aside from just the scanning, and it won't be just a straight voting. You still need to answer some security questions that would have been set by you before the election commences. So what we do is that we send you a link based on the people that have been enlisted to vote. You set those security questions. Now, when you come back to vote, when we send you our own token that expires after 5 minutes, you will be expected to also answer those security questions. We'll pick out of those random questions and then we'll present to you. If you're unable to answer, we'll presume that it's possible that somebody else is trying to use those details to vote. So that the security things that we've put in place. But this also can also be expanded based on whoever we are working with, based on their own requirement too.
Okay, thank you, Jameson. Thank you very much. This question is also related to the first one from Sunisi Hamad. He says that, good day, but if the voter's identification number should be used, some citizens, how do we address some citizens that have more than one PVC with different voters' identification number?
Yeah, apart from that, that's why I also mentioned earlier on that, apart from that, there have to be some kind of verification that will be done underground before voting commences. That is basically what we've done with most of the membership organization we worked on. That's why we have the auditors on board to do all those checks so that we don't have duplicate, because we realize that some set of people might have different set of email addresses, phone number mapped to them. So that's why we have the auditors to do this check before even voting commence. All these are done before voting commence, just to ensure that you can't vote more than once. Aside from that, that's why we also introduce the security questions. We also introduce sending tokens to your phone and email address to really verify that you are the person that want to cast the vote at that particular time.
Okay, thank you very much for that response. I'd also like to add that if you have questions, if you want to speak and ask questions, just show your hands and then we'll attend to you. So Mr. Prosper Obieze George says this was a wonderful presentation. I would like to have the presentation slides and recordings. So it's good to know that after this webinar, we'll be sending the video presentation to all participants. Thank you very much for asking. So from our end here, I do not have any other questions to attend to. I'd like to pass the mic back to Ms.
Thank you, dear colleagues. Thank you, Ronke. Thank you, Adela and Jameson. I'm certain. Okay, I think we still have one person asking a question, Mr. Walter Ibe. He says, how secured is the PIN? Jameson, please, could you answer, please?
The pins are secure because the pin are encrypted. They are not plain pins. So our database, wherever we are storing those pins, they are encrypted. And just to be on the safer side, that's why we put a duration of 5 minutes. If for any reason you don't get to vote under that 5 minutes, you need to make another request. A new set of pins will be sent to you, but all pins are secured across the network, are encrypted also. Thank you.
Thank you, Jameson. I think your question has been rightly answered, Mr. Ibe. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate that you joined this session, and I hope you've been able to enlighten yourself with a thing or two. On the screen right before you, you see our email addresses. If you have further questions to ask or you would like to engage on the services of using our platform Votiva, please do send an email and it will be responded to. Thank you so much once again for joining this session, everyone. And at this time, I'd like to say goodbye. We really appreciate you for joining. Have a good day. Bye for now. Thank you, everyone.
I think there are some hands that are up, but so why not take the hands that are up?
Okay, I can't see any hand up. Jella, please, can you see any hand?
Okay, I can see hands now.
Okay.
So I have Omotayo Odejimi. Can we unmute Omotayo Odejimi so she can ask a question?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay, so my question is for Mr. Jameson Inyobong concerning the voting PIN. So I'm looking at a scenario where we have
Hello, Mr. Motayo. Hello.
a lot of people that want to run their are not more so. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You broke off a while for a bit, but we can hear you now.
Okay, I was asking the question, I was sending the question to Mr. Jameson Inyobong, that what happens in a scenario where people do not have phones, you know, or their phones are not charged, or they do not even, you know, some of the time network, you cannot get a particular PIN, you know. How does that translate? Because, you know, this is Nigeria. For now, we have a lot of issues with connectivity and electricity. So how will that pan out? And when you also talked about the 5 minutes for the PIN to expire, I look at it a lot of times when people are voting, you know, they first of all do accreditation, a lot of things that you know, will delay, and it will be the time for you to vote, and the thing has expired, and people are in a hurry to get out of the place. So how does that work?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So the first thing I will start with that our system are parameter driven. So the one I said 5 minutes are things that you can decide based on the organization can decide to say 20 minutes. It's just a setup. So if we want to say it should even run and not expire, it's just about setting that up. Now, for the issue of the PIN, I understand that sometimes your phone is down, there's no power to charge. So what happens is that you will be the one to request for the PIN, not the system actually sending it to you on its own. You need to make a request. at that point, I want to believe that when you're making the request, your phone should be up, at least charged. And you don't really need, so at that point, you can make a request when your phone is fully charged to request for that PIN, and then the PIN gets sent to you. But if for any reason, because of connectivity issue, your phone goes off, each time your phone comes back up, you can always request for the PIN. The point is that each time you make a new request, a new PIN will be sent to you for security reasons. Now, it's possible that we can say it should not expire. It's possible to say, I want this to expire based on the organization. I want it to expire after 24 hours. All that are parameter setup that is inbuilt into the system. It's not coded into the system.
Okay, thank you very much for the response.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Amotayo. We have another show of hands. I'd like to call on Dari. Can we unmute Dari, please? Hello? Hello, can we unmute Dari?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for this wonderful piece of information. My question is, in as much as we are concerned about the external security, what are the measures being put in place for the internal security? That's for political parties to monitor what goes on within the location where the server is being stationed.
Okay, can you hear me now? Thank you for your question. My colleague Ronke make mention of that we've also worked with auditors. Almost 99% of the elections that we have conducted, even the one we are conducting right now, they have auditors working with us to ensure that nothing goes wrong. What we've also done for CIB in the last election that ended last month is that we had something that triggers an alert to everyone, every key members. If anyone goes and alters the database, even if you just to do a select statement on the database, an email is triggered to everybody to say somebody has done this. So these are the things that we put in place that will ensure that nobody, even internally, can go and alter the system. So if we are going to work with any organization, we would require them to provide the list of people that would get such notifications. As soon as anybody attempts to go into the server and alter anything, even as simple as just doing a select statement, everybody gets notified of whatever has happened. So these are the things that we put in place to ensure that while we monitor that election is conducted fair and fair outside, we also want to ensure that in-house everything is also secure and is free and fair.
Okay, thank you very much, Jensen. Okay, so we have a lot of requests for the recorded version of this session. I want to again say that we'll be sending the video presentation to every participant after this webinar. We had a specific request from Mr. Raphael Nwosu. So at this point, I'd like to say that the webinar was powered by Vatebra Limited, and I will be calling on Matthew Omuaka to introduce Vatebra Limited to us. Matthew? Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
All right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this webinar. Now, Vatebra Limited is the foremost ICT organization with headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria, and offices spread across strategic countries in Africa. We pride ourselves as the pioneer of online internet-based solutions for the Nigerian market.
Today, our flagship product is bringing about efficiency and effectiveness in educational bodies spread across Africa. Currently, we have close to about over 100 professionals working for our organization, Vatebra, with arguably over 350 projects spanning different sectors in the Nigerian economy. We are a responsible organization. We have all the statutory registration with all the regulatory bodies in every country that we do business. We ensure that our taxes are paid when they are due, such that we also contribute our quota to the government of every country that we do business in. Vatebra today has a vision to be the foremost provider of information technology solutions in Africa. We continually deploy cutting-edge solutions solving real-life problems using technology. We want to say to you that if you come on board with us, you are in very safe hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. All right, so we don't have any questions or show of hands from my end here. At this point, I'd like to pass the baton back to Musumola. Thank you.
Like I mentioned earlier, we really are very appreciative that you joined today's session, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining. I know you can't get it better elsewhere aside Vatebra. So please kindly send us a message right just before your screen. We will definitely attend to you for further questions or our other products. Thank you, and do have a blessed weekend. Thank you, everyone. So the session would come to an end soon. Thank you.